9:04, we can start the official portion of this, of the meeting. I think we have enough bit of a quorum. Again, I do expect kind of fewer people because it is a day of meetings. So I wouldn't be surprised if people just deferred to the one later in the afternoon. For kind of what we have to pass on, or what I have to pass on, are a couple of interesting things, nothing like really major or significant. The first, just kind of reminding people that I mentioned this before, that Karen Pelto, our natural resource damage assessment program manager, is retiring, and Michelle Craddock has been hired to fill in her shoes. But I did want to point out, we just learned that Karen is being honored by the Greater Boston chapter of Trout Unlimited, and for her work on the Trap Hole Brook Restoration Project, which this is an article from the Neponset River Watershed Association. Apparently, and who knew this, not being a trout person myself, Trap Hole Brook down going into the Neponset is like the major trout fishery habitat in Massachusetts, and they're doing project coming out of the Blackburn and Union Superfund settlement, the NRD settlement there. Have $1 million to work on the habitat upriver or within the area, and including, cool things like removing, replacing bad culverts, restoring the edges of the stream, removing dams, that sort of thing. There was another article from Trout Unlimited that I saw that they'd gone into the brook with intending to remove some boulder dams that I'm not sure whether they're official or, and they had brought heavy equipment and stuff, and it only took like a few hours of pick and shovel work to remove the kind of impromptu boulder dam, and the trout apparently like immediately moved upstream into that area. So, really cool work. Karen did really cool work. Michelle Craddock is really lucky because she's going to have the opportunity to do really cool work, and the whole NRD assessment program is great. And it's good to see Karen being recognized for not only this project, but the really her professional career. Even before she was working for MassDEP, she was working for EEA for the NRD program, and then before that, she was with the Division of Ecological Restoration, removing dams back then as well. So that was good to see. And kind of along similar lines, not DEP staff, but I want to point out, many of you may have worked with Steve Lehman from NOAA on oil spills, and Steve is, if you haven't met him, you should seek him out and find him before he retires at the end of the month. He's a great storyteller, but a fantastic mind, and has been a great help to us, Massachusetts, dealing with actual oil spills and planning for future oil spills, working with us and the Coast Guard and EPA, and working on NRD as well, and helping with ecological risk assessment work. He's senior scientific coordinator for NOAA, and really is a national figure that is based in Massachusetts, and it's been great working with him. So another person retiring, and you know that as people retire, new people with energy and new ideas will replace them, and it's good to have confidence that that will happen, and that always happens. But there are some larger than life figures like Steve and Karen that, hard to let go. So there are those. Another announcement. I've mentioned this before, and let's see, where are we? We had a meeting on Tuesday talking about it. Oops. I hope you're still seeing that meeting. Where did that go? There we go. I can see it now. This is on our website under the Marine Oil Spill Prevention Response Program. You can get to it through the main page, Oil Spill Grant Program. And we are going to be putting out our solicitation applications for people to apply for various projects to prepare for and prevent oil spills in Massachusetts. The funding coming out of the MassDEP program. And that can run from anything from wildlife rehabilitation training, spill prevention systems, preparedness training, equipment, not in this round. I have to say this every time we talk about it. We're not buying boats in this round. That seems to be the highest priority for people when you talk about marine oil spills. But pretty much anything else, we have funding available. And this is our first round, so we're kind of doing this, getting our toe in the water to see what kinds of projects people are interested in having us fund. And so more detail will be coming out there, but I'll be linking the audio and video from the informational meeting to that webpage a little bit later today. So, this is all marine oil spill stuff. So apologies to people working in Worcester and Springfield and the like. I see Elizabeth Steinhardt. Sorry, Elizabeth. But it is coastal, has to be coastal related. But we're be looking for projects to fund in the very near future for that. Other than that, last week I mentioned the biosolids meeting, PFAS meeting that's coming up next week. And of course, we have the LSP Association meeting later this afternoon, where people actually get regulatory credit for listening to me. So I'm going to not say anything more for fear of tipping my hand and talking to repeating myself later in the day. So that's all I've got.
We can leave the meeting now.
Yeah. Sorry, you're not getting credit for this, but you can go.
Okay.
You do need to show up this afternoon to get the 1 hour of regulatory credit. So I haven't done this, and maybe Liz, you can remind me to ask Nancy Fitzpatrick. Is Nancy on? Yeah. Kind of it would be interesting to see the laundry list of the trainings that we've been doing lately, because in the spring when the COVID stuff hit and there was concern about whether or not there'd be enough credits, the LSPA and DEP staff were trying to work to find ways of getting the credits. And I know kind of onesies and twosies here and there don't seem like much, but I think it would be good to look back and see how in fact they're adding up, and the fact that they are available not only in real time when they're presented, but the LSPA is making them available on demand afterwards, means that everybody can get all the credits, which is a huge step forward from where we were before, when the trainings would sell out like that. And it was, hard for DEP to, put time aside to go out and physically in person do, trainings, because it eats up a lot of time. So it inevitably, some LSPs were left out, and there's that mad scramble to get registered. It's really nice to have the LSPA building up a library of these courses, both technical and regulatory credit, so that it's available. So
we could maybe pull that together, but I noticed on the LSPA's website on the right-hand side, maybe on the training page, they have it nicely listed, everything that's available right now for technical
yeah.
and regulatory credit, including the online stuff.
Yep. Yeah, actually, I have that up. So, yep, there it is. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I actually had this up because the best thing about it is the sliders. Or the worst thing about this afternoon is we're missing the lobster sliders. But it was nice seeing that they have a recipe. If you haven't made your own creme fraiche, it's probably a little bit too late. You should have started that a couple of days ago. You might have to go out and buy it yourself.
I love that they're using kosher salt on the lobster sandwich.
That ruins it.
Yeah, well, yeah. It is a nice, interesting juxtaposition. But you don't want the iodine in it. So that's all I've got. We can talk more about lobster sliders if you like. And tarragon, if anybody needs tarragon, actually, I have a plant that's like this big, a huge tarragon plant. I could make a gazillion lobster sliders.
Is that like a tarragon wink wink plant, or is that really a tarragon plant?
It's a real tarragon plant. Yeah, no wink stuff growing in my backyard, at least not that I recognize. Yeah, the best thing I've got is habanero, a very productive habanero plant. But those are going into hot sauce production. So what do you guys have?
So Paul, I just had a question. I don't know if you or anyone else on the call has heard any updates from DOR and the brownfield tax credit regulations. If there's any talk on that at all, you know, it's been pretty quiet since we provided comments through NIOP.
Liz, have you heard anything?
I don't know what its current status is. I know that Luke Rogers and I and the Brownfields coordinators also provided them with comments in the middle of the summer. So I think they were in the process of getting together their public hearing draft, but I don't know where they are on that. Haven't heard anything in the last month or so.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that was public hearing, preparing a public hearing draft. So if it's anything like our process, they get the comments, they work on them, and then they must have a review and approval process that also goes up through, includes the governor's office for reg revisions. So, that this period of time is not surprising at all.
Right, understandably. I just wanted to ask the question.
Yeah, certainly don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
Come out. Any other questions, topics you think we should
Paula,
cover? Hey, Marilyn.
I know you get the when will the new regs be out question all the time, so we won't keep asking that. But the corollary to that on PFAS is there any rumors on when the MCL might be finalized?
See, now on these are things that I would talk about later today.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Okay. Well, no, I don't want to steal your thunder. So that's fine. I can wait till this afternoon. I figured since it was MCL, not waste cleanup, maybe it wasn't in there, but
Oh no, it's in there. I mean, PFAS, everything rolls together with PFAS.
This is true.
So, I mean, the short answer is it's not out yet. At least I haven't seen any official announcement. So we're all waiting, and any minute now. Soon, yeah,
Yeah.
soon though. I would have used soon in August. I think imminently is a good word. Or any minute now, or is good. Who knows? Who
Okay.
knows? Well, I know who knows, but actually, the other speaker this afternoon will be the Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs, who is up that chain, several orders of magnitude above me. So don't ask her. One could, but don't. Please don't. I think she'll probably be talking more about climate change issues and things. Leave the PFAS questions to me.
Understood.
But you can ask that tonight. Yes, Bonnie.
The vulnerability assessment grant awards, the action grants and do you know when those would be decided?
I think that they have already been decided. They were announced a week or two ago.
A week or two ago? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know because I didn't get one I wanted.
Oh,
I had submitted information and I didn't contact the community to see if so 2 weeks ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking online, but our website or the the mass.gov website, not necessarily the quickest way to find things. Anything else you want to cover now? More pointed questions?
Okay, a pointed one. Just like 3 or 4 months ago, I think now, we did a whole office hours talking about diversity and inclusion. And I was wondering if there's any update on that or is any follow-up on that?
A couple things, mostly internally, that we're working on. So there are things going on with hiring and guidelines for that. One of the biggest focuses has been on guidance on public involvement. And I think that we had talked about that as, certainly for the Wayside Cleanup Program, making sure that we're reaching the people that we need to. So DEP has prepared some internal guidance to help the programs kind of identify steps and processes for kind of doing better outreach. And the commissioner is certainly looking at this as, these are things that it's really not new things that we should be doing, but it's things that we should be doing better. They're kind of current obligations that we should be doing better to make sure that people are aware of opportunities for reviewing and commenting on things, to have the opportunity to participate, whether that means through scheduling meetings in a way that's convenient for a wide range of people to, in various conditions of working in home care and accessibility, to be able to participate. So that internal guidance, because of its nature, it did focus mostly on things like permitting and kind of the review periods for that, and appeals and public involvement around that. That it was less directed at less applicable to wayside cleanup directly, because BWSC doesn't direct the public involvement stuff as much, but it certainly includes things that we can work to kind of help get out. And so in our revising our public involvement plan, sadly, both things are called PIPs, public involvement plans. We have our PIP stuff, and this internal thing is public involvement planning. So it gets a little bit confusing for me. so that's been implemented, and what we're doing now is the staff are going to be trained kind of program by program on that, and kind of resources developed for that. And EEA is interested in, they of course have a relatively new environmental justice coordinator, and there is through the EJ program obligations for all state agencies to improve and enhance their outreach, and so our PIP plan is hopefully going to be used as a model for other agencies through the EJ coordination. So there's that, and there is a kind of more general, the Commissioner's Office is taking a look at the advisory committees that we have throughout the agency, and kind of looking at ways of kind of expanding representation, formally on the advisory committees, but also from I think our point of view, kind of just even if it's not sitting on the advisory committee, although that would be good too, to expand the reach of those meetings. So there's a lot going on in the background. I think once the training is done on the public involvement plan stuff, and we are revising our PIP plan guidance, you'll see more kind of hard evidence of that.
That's great. Thanks. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing that's something that would be interesting to ask the Secretary about as well, particularly because the EJ coordination is done through the well, the EJ coordinator is up at the Secretary's office. Let's see. Now I'm reading chats. Question about updates to guidance documents. Once MCP amendments were distributed, will there be scheduled to update these documents? Oh. Bonnie, was that you? I'm going to say yes, there'll be a schedule to update all of those MCP documents, and we will not meet that schedule. And things will be prioritized as always. If there are updates when there are updates to the regs, yes, the guidance documents and things should be updated as well. But it is always a scramble to figure out which ones are absolutely necessary to update right now versus kind of when we have the time to do it. So in the ideal world, yeah. And I think there are some things like the AUL guidance that is taking into account these reg changes. Right, Liz? I'm not overstepping. So there are some changes that are going on in parallel with the reg revisions, so that they will be ready essentially on day one of the new regs. But realistically, there will be other things, going down as deep as individual Q&As that eventually will have to be revised based on new regs. And the schedule for that will be, as best we can.
Mhm.
But I think the AUL guidance is what already identified as one that is a top priority for that.
Well, that's wonderful that you're thinking about, which ones you're going to prioritize and do it concurrently. Maybe.
To the extent that we can, yes. They're limited staff. Blah blah blah. I want to set realistic expectations.
I actually have the MVP action grants up on my screen if you want me to share it.
Sure.
Just get the right one here. All right. So we've got Agawam, Arlington, Athol, Auburn, Belchertown, Blandford, Bolton, Boston, Braintree, Cambridge, Chelsea, East Longmeadow, East Hampton, Fall River, Dayton, Somerset, Swansea. Ooh, yay. Fitchburg, Granby, Great Barrington, Haverhill, Holyoke. And then the Assawamsett Ponds Complex, that does involve New Bedford, so that's great. Lawrence, I mean, so you can see that a lot of money goes to cities and towns to do resilient projects. So
Wow,
we're
that's a lot of
almost to
money.
the end here. So yeah, $10.4 million for action grants.
Whew.
So, Bonnie, I hope your project is
I'm
on
not,
the
no, it's not on the list, Watertown.
drat.
You
Was
know,
it?
so it's part of, maybe it's part, no, it's not gonna be part of the Charles River because they're looking at the upper and the Natick, so,
No.
okay.
Was it definitely? It was definitely an action grant and not a planning grant.
Well, that's what they were trying to decide. I think maybe they went for planning instead because they didn't have, because it was for stormwater management.
Yeah, these are the planning grants, so I
they're
don't
not
see it in
there.
there either.
Okay.
So, all right, we're in the same boat.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
the next round will be out in spring 2021.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
There's always a new round.
Just freshen up those applications.
Yep, and if there's any way you can kind of rewrite it to kind of meet the requirements of a Marine Oil Spill Prevention and Response Act grant, then you're certainly invited to that. I don't think Watertown, maybe, but yeah, New Bedford, who knows? So, anything else you would like to talk about? Just acknowledge Matt Hackman is making us jealous by wandering around outside, as he always does. Thanks, Matt. From here in the basement. Okay, then I'll officially end the meeting, and this is where the recording will stop.